I've been feeling really, viscerally uncomfortable recently. Summer has come in at full swing, which means that outside of the dormitory, it's around 92 to 96 degrees Fahrenheit. And inside of the college, it is a wet 70 or so. And there's a lot of textural issues for me there. I've been talking to the guidance counselor about how I've been feeling burdened recently, how I feel like I'm carrying a lot without even realizing that I am, and wondering if the culprit was the work I do after stream, or maybe even the morning work before stream, but I'm realizing that quite a big bit of it might just be texture, might just be the way that the air is touching me, and how it is scratching this very rough, soft spot in the base of my skull. I've mentioned in the past being very high maintenance. It takes a lot to go right for me to work well. And I wish I wasn't high maintenance. I wish I was... We were talking about on stream the difference between a weed core streamer and a flower core streamer, where there are some people who are weed coded, who are incredibly resilient, can exist in some really, really bad circumstances and still follow through. And then there are people who are flower coded, which in order to thrive, in order to blossom, in order to feel really, really tangible, needs a lot to go into them. They need to be misted, they need to be in the right sun, they need to have a right elevation, etc., etc. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cute. It's interesting, right? To have that dichotomy, to have that difference, that split in how we perceive and look at these groups, or at least people. I was talking about resolving value judgments in a stream earlier, and even though I would want to be more resilient, I think the likeness to a weed, in a way, and the likeness to a flower, somewhat affirms me and my fragility. It makes it okay that I'm not resilient to a certain degree, because flowers aren't, but they're beautiful when they are properly cared for. But back to my discomfort. Recently, outside, it's been really wet and really hot, and as cold as you can get it inside of the dormitory, it's still very, very wet. And I genuinely feel as though I am wading through waist-high water, walking through all of this. It's something that is ever-present, something that is consistently felt on my skin. And the attempt, the conscious move to try to ignore it in order to do the things I need to do is tangible effort that I'm exerting. When I'm baked in the sun on my commute between my dorm room and the tutoring center, I feel cooked. I feel heavy. I feel... If you were to drum your fingernails against your wrists, against the back of your hand, that is how the sun feels to me on the walk. I getting it through the window is a bit different for me, through a screen. It's less harsh, less intense, and generally, when next to a window, there's a nice cool breeze because of the way air travels through different levels of pressure. But out there, in the stillness of the wet heat, I feel sick. And maybe I'm just trying to find something else to blame for my not reaching the goals that I've been wanting to recently. Maybe I'm just trying to find a strawman. But I also think that it's worth it to look at possibilities I might not have considered in the past. Because I feel like it must not be normal that people undergo so much effort to exist every single day. Right? I mean, we've been getting a glut of information from a lot of people, especially neurodivergent folk, where they describe all the little things that do not come intuitively to them as it might to another person, to a neurotypical person. And wherever I sit on either of those, I still need to know how best my body works. So this is me calling out temperature and humidity now. I feel like some people might say that if you love something so much, if you want something that much, you will push through anyway. There is this myth that I myself perpetuate that if you were an artist of any particular skill set, of any particular medium, that medium becomes the way you process the world. It's the way you cope. Moment to moment, that is the lens you use to process and interact with the world. Whether it be through filmmaking, communicating by leading a viewer's eyes, or whether it be speaking, whether it be narration, whether it be music, These are all ways that you self-medicate in a way. And I say that you will find a way to do that wherever you are, right? If that is truly a base need of yourself to create art in that way, then nothing's going to stop you. And I think the implication that I didn't mean to say, but was definitely put out, is that maybe you weren't meant to make art if you can't will yourself to do that stuff, is the implication. But that can't be true, right? I think left to their own devices, all humans would trend towards making art, or consuming art, or doing something. We are constantly overstimulated, constantly carrying so much, constantly dealing with so much, that we don't get the chance to take a moment to be unburdened. And if the effort that you're putting into literally everything else, into just existing, is so much that you can barely find it in yourself to do what you love, when your day-to-day is so soul-crushing that you find yourself unable to perform even the tasks that make you happy, there's no shame in that. You shouldn't feel ashamed or otherwise lesser than any other artist, because what you're going through is hard. It is, and you deserve better. Maybe you too are a flower, whether you'd resent the comparison or not. Maybe to thrive, you need so much more than the world is giving you, than you're giving yourself. Maybe you need so many more rituals to just be a person. And it just so happens that that is not being followed through with right now. And you need to care for yourself like you would care for a plant baby. Ding ding ding, 10 minutes.